I hope we're all doing really, really well this Tuesday, the 16th of September. This week is going really, really fast. I've left my notes behind me, so I'm going to try and reach over and get my notes. So I hope we're all doing really well today. I've a little bit of I think an interesting show this afternoon. Obviously, not on it this morning, just basically because I have a job, and I kind of trying to fit this in around life. But absolutely another amazing show last night. Scott, legend of the chat, pretty much always the first person in. Welcome, my friend. I hope you're doing extremely well today. I'm going to try and do this in a slightly different way today. I'm going to go through the sort of news, and then I'll sort of decide, and I'll try and get through the chat as we go along. So I hope we're all doing extremely well today, whatever we are up to, whatever you're doing. Last night's show again, I think was fantastic. The shows in the last couple of days have been fantastic. I think that's pretty much because we're also fed up, and I think this is again, it feels like we've heard this before, and again today there are some things coming out which I don't particularly want to talk about in terms of the manager. On the thumbnail, you can see what you can see. There are reports out today. Dilshad Salam, my friend. Hope we're all doing really, really well. So let's get to it. Let's see where we get to. Get in your chats. I know many of us are excited as well, just to bring us in about Football Club 2026. We'll try and get into that at some point as well. Maybe we'll try and do a members only tester on that, and then we can open it up maybe more. So get into the chat. Don't forget to give us a like, favorite, and subscribe, guys. Get into the chat. One thing I'll always ask is that we are respectful in the chat. Be respectful mostly to the community. This is a fantastic community that's getting bigger and bigger all the time. Please get involved with that. I need to find another saying for this, but I don't own the chat. I'm a custodian of the chat. Just because I say something, it doesn't mean that it's the end of the chat. Doesn't mean that you guys don't get your say. I think it's really, really important to take the good and the bad. I try not to hide from any conversation on here. I do try to read your comments out. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. There are super chats on here. There are memberships on the channel now, but you don't. This is not a place where I push that. I'm probably really bad at sales. Not Brett May, welcome to the chat. Legend, of course you are now. You are becoming a legend of this chat as well. I like what you do. I really, really do. You come into here and you give us your comment, and I think the difference in comments and the difference of opinion, I think are what make this channel good. And I will always try to give you your opinions on it. So let's get through some of the stuff, and then I will come back to that, because not Brett may have a point on this one. So let's see where we go. So Derek Dale says, hi, hello, my friend. Hope you're doing extremely well today. So Jacobs Ben, you may have seen Ben on the United stand on X. I think he's been very, very, very good this summer. He's very, very good on Saudi clubs. He seems like a pretty good guy. He's very knowledgeable, very intelligent. So he's a very credible guy. So I like him a lot. So he's come out with what's the news or topic of discussion today. It's basically there's two things. Number one is Sir Jim's demand on Amorim to get Champions League. Now we can talk about that. I think let's for the minute steer away from Amorim, and let's talk about Sir Jim. Why did we not get rid of Ugarte? Exactly, Scott, and we'll bring that in as well. So we've got Ugarte to talk about as well, and we can't hide away from this. There are reports that Unai Emery is the next manager on the lists So Pure Amazer says, where do you think you need the most improvement in the squad? Of course, the whole team needs a revamp, but which position do we need the most? Benja, welcome as well, my friend. Your Brits are up early. It is, to be fair, it's 1:43, mate. So I'm in the middle of the work day. It's middle of the day here, Benja. So yeah, I'd love to say that I'm up early. I am up early, but yeah, it's not super early today. So where do you think we need improvement? I think without a doubt, I think there are two positions that we do need more than anything else. Which number one is that centre midfield. If we are going to play this pivot, which so many of you dislike and so many of you think that it doesn't work, the pivot, I think we have to address that pivot. I don't know why it's not addressed, and actually we can pivot away from the Sir Jim thing because I think you've brought that in. So let's hit that straight away. So at the end of the window, United were sort of saying that we weren't in for a midfield player. I don't know why that come out. I think that was quite pathetic on their part to come out and say that. Try to convince the fan base, trying to convince people that we weren't in for a centre midfielder. We clearly were. So we were looking at Belieber, so Gallagher as well, Agume, apparently Stiller. I think those ones were there. There was a name attached. Now, what backs that up? And many of you guys, I'm not going to include myself in that, but basically saying that Amorim chose the two number 10s. He chose the squad, he chose the players, he chose the ones to bring in. I genuinely believe that Amorim wanted a CM more than anything else, and I do believe that he thought that that's what he was going to get. Now, this is sort of backed up by Fabrizio. So, as we all know, Fabrizio is I'm not about to start work. Bro, it's nearly 2 in the afternoon. I know, my bad. Harry says, haha, that's funny. Champions League demand. We need to spend another 600 million and we'll have a chance for Champions League. Outreach, I agree with you on that one. Fringpong, good morning, sir. Good morning to you. It's not about the pivot, it's about the back three. Look at West Ham. They're getting absolutely battered with the back three. There are options for the pivot, especially if Belieber joins. Again, that's an interesting opinion. My opinion is that we definitely need the pivot. The pivot for me is the problem. When you look at that back three, I don't think we've got an issue there. I think the pivot and the goalkeeper, those two positions for me. So you look at the City game and the save that was made from that shot. That is why you need to keep. So I think even though we've signed the men's, the jury is out on him, and that's why we needed the centre midfielder. So to bring that back to Fabrizio, we all respect Fabrizio. The one thing I don't understand is that why wasn't this spoken about during the transfer window, right? I know why. It's because as much as we all respect Fabrizio, he needs to keep things back, right? He gets fed from the club, and this is a brief now that can come out now because the window's closed and Ineos can be confident and can be, snug in the fact that they don't need to do anything at the moment. You look like an Apple employee. Shanky, okay? I don't know. I don't know what that is, my friend. Outward says Wharton and Belieber. I agree. I'm watching you live from Ghana. Can we be friends? Fringpon, welcome to, mate. As soon as you come into this chat, my friend, you are automatically a legend of this chat, okay? People who come into this chat, people who give this community a time of day, you're going to make some new friends here. Don't have the patience for Belieber. I'm new. Say hi. I love Evos. Also, I love Evos. I love Evos too. My favourite Evo is the Mitsubishi Evo. I think it's 5 GSR. I love that one. I also love the Tommy Mackinnon Evo as well. Massive fan of the Evo. I used to own one, but yeah, I do love an Evo. So welcome here. So Fabrizio come out and basically said that Ugarte, we were basically looking at selling Ugarte. Now there were offers, I believe, that came in we didn't take any of the offers because they weren't quite right. I think there were offers on the table, or maybe we just didn't have time to do this. So it absolutely shows to me that we absolutely were looking at a midfielder because you like Evo, you have a sub. Like Evo's legend, thank you, my friend. Arsenal v Bilbao today. I might do a watch along, not tonight, probably tomorrow. I'll do one either today or tomorrow for the Champions League games because we're not in it. So who says we can't enjoy a watch along? For us, there's no where you from. I'm from the UK. I'm from Essex. So yeah. Tell me no, Olivivos, where you're from, my friend. So yeah, Dan Britt's confusing with the Atletico Bilbao Athletic Club mishmash. That's not us, mate. That's Spain, mate. You can't blame us for that one. So Fabrizio confirmed that Ugarte. I'm from Ireland. Welcome. Yeah, from across the world. I've been to Ireland a couple of times. Andrew Walker says, shave that scruff. Basically, my friend, I did shave yesterday. I do not shave if you don't like it. I'm debating now whether to be extremely polite to you, Andrew, or whether to be rude. I'm going to take the high road and tell you to nothing. Andrew as well, mate. And I'm not a mean person, right? I really am not. But if, as you've come on here and you've decided to be a dick, if that's your picture and that's your face, mate, I wouldn't comment if I was you. It seems like a face that only a mother could love. So if I was you, mate, I'd keep your head down and probably not say, well, you're clearly angry because of the way that you look. Don't take it out on me, my friend. Kick Andrew. I can be rude if you want. Hello, my friend. Nikarutsu, welcome, my friend. Don't listen to these idiots in the comments. I find it funny. Imagine being this insecure about a comment telling you to shave your beard. Andrew, imagine being so insecure about your own face that you want to come in here into a community and be a dickhead. Imagine coming into a football chat talking about a man's beard. Exactly, Benja. Exactly, my friend. It says more about Andrew than it does about me. Looking like... oh, Scott. I reckon, Scott. I reckon. Just think about it deep down. I reckon, Scott, he's going to... a man had a whole rage over a suggestion. Who's raging? I mean, look, Andrew. Just because Hunter's going to be banging on your door, because you've been sending things to people that you shouldn't have. Don't take it out on me. This is your last day of freedom, because you're going to get done by the hunters. It looks like you're on a shout. Andrew, I'll just let the chat handle you, my friend. The problem is, Andrew, you're coming into a passionate community. We all defend each other. Nikarutsi, I've just I love it. I just shouted yesterday, actually. Excellent. So I'm gonna continue chat. Absolutely, yeah. You've got my back. So Andy Kane, afternoon, bro. Hello, my friend. Hope you're doing really well this afternoon. Legendary. So yeah, so Ugarte. Now let's go over Ugarte. I'll give you my opinions on Ugarte for what it's worth. Please get in there and let me know about what you think. Oh, Scott, mate, you are a legend. I love it. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. So Ugarte, for my mind, he came into the club, I think, already. I think it was silver, wasn't it, from Benfica, that we basically give PSG money. Now, what troubles me the most is that we we actually we gave PSG. Oh, guys, this is fun. I could just sit here and read your comments. It's just cracking me up. Oh, guys, these shows just make me laugh so much. Nick Root, see it, mate. I love it. I love it. I love it. You wouldn't say that to my face. I'm 6'3". Andrew, just because you're 6'3", do you think people are scared of people who are 6'3"? Well, I'm 5'10", and I'm pretty sure that you wouldn't stand a chance against me. So yeah, absolute ridiculous. What I love is people. I love the fact that people shave that wet puppy on your face. Guys, AKS 97, absolute quality. So now you're getting threatened by a troll, and you're maybe 6'3", but like pigeons. Oh gosh, this is it's absolutely amazing. You guys are legendary. I absolutely love it. So continue to berate Andrew in the chat. Brilliant. Christopher Extreme says hi, hello my friend Andrew. Done kickboxing for 8 years. Guys, love it. Gosh, love it completely. So Ugarte came into this club. It really always puzzles me when Real Madrid and PSG and all that sort of stuff are really are willing to sell their players. Now, I think that should be a big, massive red flag. That Unai for sure. Delk Sport will come on to that as well. So whenever Madrid, Liverpool, Milan sell their players, that's always a red flag for me. And it was signed by the old regime, and I fully get that it wasn't Ineos in charge at that time, and absolutely 100% that we made a mistake. And why we allowed United or City? Well, I'll give you a clue. Kickoff. The sort of name is in the title, but not to be rude, United fan channel. So yeah, I agree. I do think that Ugarte is definitely more of a squad player. I think we actually absolutely got scammed on that. We purposefully let another club get a player that we wanted, and we basically paid for it. So Ugarte, I think from the off, he's probably had a couple of good games. Exactly, 50 million pounds for a player who, he looks good in flashes. I want to say he reminds me of Fred, and what I mean by that is Fred was either absolutely fantastic, or he was awful. Now I want to say that actually I actually think Fred was probably slightly better, because at least Fred did something on the pitch, whether he was good or bad. He was capable of putting in a world class. Now, I'm not suggesting for a second that Fred was great, but as we said, Fred was so inconsistent. Ugarte, I think Ugarte is probably less than inconsistent. Now, I thought he was okay against City, but again, he lacks that intensity. This is into his Joe B. Hello from the UK. Welcome. Ugarte is very inconsistent. There's a good player there, but it was like when Di Maria joined. But United is a tough place to establish into the team. I think that's a really good comment. I think it's a brilliant comment to make. So for me, I agree. Is it a case of it's really toxic here, and Ugarte is just, again, he's suffering because he's in probably the wrong team, and this is why And this is why, it's really hard to judge. And I saw something interesting yesterday about how it can't all be these players, right? It can't just be the players. You can't just blame the players. It can't be all their fault. How can these players be good players at other clubs and then come into this club and then be abjectly awful? Now, I think as we spoke about yesterday, one of the problems was the toxicity. Now we've got rid of the bomb squad and we've done all that. And say, yeah, man, the whole culture and mentality needs to change. We need Navy SEALs and Amarins. I agree with you. I agree. We need mentality monsters. Now, the problem with these players is that JB Amarin has said this isn't going to work. He said, you need to change the man. We don't have the place for his philosophy. Niche fan, again, I think you're making a very, very good point. And we'll come on to that as well. We'll come on to that. And again, we'll go through that as well and give your opinions on what we're going to talk about next, Champions League in particular. So I think you're right. I think he doesn't have the place for the system. I think Ugarte, Woody. I think once Ugarte, guys, I am going to ban Andrew now because he's a wally, and as fun as it is, I think he's an absolute wally. So he's gone. He's gone for that. I love it, Scott. I love it. He is. He's clearly had a bad day. Lewis says Amrin needs to change the system as it's clearly not getting the results. So Leewood, again, I think that's an interesting point. Now, I think one of the things that I did see is you've got the formation, the tactics, and the pattern of play, right? And for me, Lee, what's missing for me now? Amrin is not going to change the system, right? He's not going to. All right. My problem with that, and I agree with Benja. We need patience. He's not going to get it, but we do. It's the stubbornness. For me, what I want to see from him, if he persists with this, and he says the same players have failed of a system, okay, I agree with you. Benja, I agree with you too. Oasis, respect. Alex Blue Coat. Oasis, if we are referring to the band and not the drink, I do love a little bit of them. Oasis, love them. Legends to me. I failed to see how a guy played well. It is a tricky one. So for me, I think right now what we're seeing, for me, it's time to change. The manager system doesn't work. Facts. Roger Hall, I think it for me, Roger, and again, I will read your opinions out because I respect your opinions, and I will, because again, I will try to answer your opinions. Doesn't mean that I'm right. I absolutely. Eric Kaplan says hi, Grandpa. I'm not a United fan, but it really hurt to see Amrin is trying to build the team. I agree. Amrin needs time. So, as I've said many times, when Amrin came into this club, does his system work? Right. We can talk about formation and systems just for a second. Does it work? No, because he doesn't have. And Mark Stewart says the stats, they don't lie. They are playing better. Players are jumping out of positions and therefore leaving gaps. Factor that he played brilliant as a CM. He'll always be a cam. Agree with you, Mark. And I think this, for me, is whilst he's waiting for players in this system, Emmy, welcome, legend, Amrin could have all the clocks in the world, but he still wouldn't give him time. I like that. Me, you just missed it. Was given. You give the manager at least 3 years for Amrin's system to work. If it doesn't work, then you change. Time is the greatest key. I love your channel. Thank you, Jamie Vargas, a legend as well. So I think he does need time. Will he be given time? I'll tell you why he won't be after the comments today. So I think everybody watches football in a completely different way. Now we can talk about if Aaron doesn't change from back three, it's going to cost him this job. Nikaritsu, now we say that, but we've been playing awful with a back four. So I genuinely don't think it's that. Niche fan, get this Dosser out. So I think for me, I think the wing backs are a problem, but I think he can get through a season with his back three. He needs a goalkeeper. If Lamens can come in, he can make that work. But he needs time. Now my two things for the reason why I don't think it works. As I don't think it works is because these players are not just doing the simple things. They're focusing. Exactly. So we the problem is that Leewood says, I support Amorim and the team every week, home and away. We do need to be patient, but to get the players to suit the system, it's going to take a few windows. Leewood, Matt's going fan, and this is what's interesting to me. Are the Matt's going fans really seem to have a different opinion on this because they're there week in, week out. Match day fans are the lifeblood of this club. Home and away support, I absolutely completely respect you guys. I think you guys are the legends, as is everyone else. But you guys go home and away, and I think listening to your opinions on the manager, I completely agree. He needs time, but I think what he needs to do, and I think I can even accept this, right? Whilst I don't necessarily agree with formation and tactics, if Amorim wants to survive this, he's got to play players in their positions. And I'm not talking about pandering. I'm not the biggest fan of pandering to these players. But I think what I need to accept is that you play players in their positions. Even if you play Casemiro, Ugarte, Mainu as the centre midfield pivot, I would much rather lose with players in their correct positions, even if he persists with this formation, which I think he probably should, because he's been brought in to do a job. I want to see players playing in their correct positions. Now, he's going to have a problem. So, Mbumo as a number 10, we'll then have Bruno in a number 10, Cunha. Where does Cunha play? So, that's going to be a problem. And this is what I don't think. I think he's going to be stubborn. And ultimately, I think that's going to cost him his job. I don't think it should. But there's no patience in there. And I think if he wants the respect of he's got my respect. But if he wants to win people back, then I think he needs to make that change. And I just think he needs to take out Shaw. I think he needs to bring in Lamens, play heaven, and just put those plays in the correct positions. And I think you survive. Alex Bluecoat says, no, I was aiming for the footwear behind you. A6, the corrector, had typed it Oasis. I love it. I'm not too stocked on A6, but I do have Saucony, I have Hoka's, I have Adidas, Tier up there. I've got a whole box of trainers just over there. Yeah, I am a little bit obsessed with running. Emmy says, looking at in the depth of this back three system, that's not the issue. The issue is playing 5-2-3. If he alters to 3-4-2-1, without possession, then the midfield won't get overrun. Do you watch La Vivos? I don't get to watch it that much at the moment. I did used to love it back in the day. Probably I'm from the I go right back with it. So I go to wrestling. I mean, Jesus, back into the 80s. Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan. Jesus, I mean, I could probably go through a whole list. Again, I think I was very, very lucky with wrestling and football. I think I went through it in the peak, the absolute peak. And then the Attitude Era. I watched, Stone Cold when he came through. In fact, I watched Stone Cold before he became Stone Cold. I've watched the WC like those days, with Sting and Kevin Nash and that kind of stuff. So I watched it in his prime. I don't think he's great now, but yeah, I do. Jamie Ruggs also think they need to go back to old school disciplined days of football. Everyone was accountable everyone's actions on and off the pitch. I completely agree. We really gave him more time and letting big players leave the team. I'm going for new players, and yet they're not merging into the system of Amorim. So right now, who are we blaming? Joa, I think it's mate. I think you make a good point. I mean, it's a mixture. I think it's a perfect storm. I think you have to ultimately blame the owners. I think you ultimately have to blame the people who bought some of these players in. You have to blame the players. And we spoke yesterday about you know um, players not playing for the club. These players, for me, the biggest thing, Amorim needs to put these players in the correct positions. If he's going to be stubborn and play with this back five and play with the two in the pivot, put players in the right position. Give yourself time. I mean, at least make these players a little bit happier. I couldn't give a toss if these players are not happy overall. I can imagine the leaks as we spoke about last night. I'm not going to name names because I don't know, but I can guess who they are. And, I couldn't care if they're not happy. We need a happy team, but they've sacked managers before, and this is what is going to happen again. Emmy says Palace play a 3-4-2 when out possession. They do a lot better. It's the midfield two that's a problem. Needs to be a 3 or 4 bodies in there. Emmy, I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that. Aaron is not going to change his system, but we need at least, let's take Bruno out of that midfield. Let's take him out and let's at least try it with two proper midfielders and see how we do. But it needs to do something. Much as I feel that Amorim once sacked after the Grimsby game, he gave off that vibe. Don't disagree. What positions are you talking about? Centre midfielders for me and a goalkeeper. I think we can push through the season with what we've got, as I predicted, not because I'm brilliant, just because we spoke about it on here. I always felt that this season we're going to finish between 8th and 10th. We can segue that into the next thing that we can talk about. But I've always thought that this season, when people were talking about this transfer window being a 9, talking about we're going to finish in the top 4, top 5, top 6, the videos are out there. I'm on there saying I give this window a 4, give this window a 3. I just don't think the recruitment was right. I don't think we had a great window. And also, I always felt that with this team, we were going to finish about 10th. I think that's still possible, even though I demand, and I've said this before, I demand finishing in the top. I basically demand winning the Premier League every single season, not because I think that we can, just because I think we need to set those standards very, very high. We're not going to achieve it, and we'll come on to what Sir Jim said, who just called him a grandpa. Yeah, we it doesn't matter, does it? Lee, we don't have 3 windows. Sir Jim and the club was on the brink financially before he came in. Ten Hag lost his job doing that. Exactly. I called Andrew grandpa, who's threatened us with golf clubs. Sell Bruno ASAP to Saudi. I agree. In Burma, Ahmed are wingers, though, not cams. Only actual cams we have is Manu and Cunha. Emmy, exactly. If Amorim is sacked, we could get Inzaghi. I'll come on to that next as well. Mike Show said I use Brooks. I'm guessing you either use Brooks GTS or Brooks Ghost. Just a guess. Cunha is good, but he feels Bruno is good, but he needs full play time to support around. I agree. Scott, I love it. It's Brazilian. He ain't playing. He's angry. I love Stone Cold. Cunha and Burma could be a great. I don't disagree. So Brody was very underrated wrestler. God, I used to like. I just trying to think. Who was back in the day? I used to like. Is it the Hurricane? Is it Hurricane and like whoever and Earthquake? Razor Ramon. Obviously Diesel. Sid Vicious. I thought he was underused. Thought he was fantastic. I used to like Tanaka, Superfly Jimmy Snooker, blimey. And then, you get into the Attitude Era and you had the APA, the Acolytes. Then you had the Dudley Boys. I remember them coming through before the W F as it was back in the day. Rikishi, Tuchel, just fantastic. Who's Andre the Giant? I like who niche fan. Did you just say who's Andre the Giant? I like LA Knight. LA Knight, I mean, mate, he's not even on Andre's stratosphere. I mean, go and have a look on Netflix. I don't know if you have Netflix, but go and have a look over there. All the WrestleManias are on there. Just go back and just look at back in the day. Absolute fantastic. Kunis should be on 9. Niche fan, boo. A WWE fan, get out. I saw The Rock when I was 10 years old at the MCI Arena in Washington, D.C. circa 98, 2000. Benji, you lucky sod. Bye, guys. See you later. Shesko's not a flop. He doesn't get the service. I agree. Nikaritsu says, still pretty annoyed that United didn't sign. So Donnarumma, watching him in the derby game, he's already comfortable. He is. I saw The Rock yesterday in my garden. Kunis should be number 9. Much to we need a midfielder as usual. Exactly. Sure, Benja is a secret United fan. I agree. Come on, Benja. Try not to be an angry American. Arsenal's my childhood team. All right, fellas, I've got to start working. Take care, my friend. Premier League 2000. Sacking won't solve the problem. Even Luis Enriquez struggled if he's in the Premier League. I agree. Onyub says, what if you give him every play he wants, then he fails? You are stuck with the players. You can only play in the system and we will never recover from that. I'd rather give him his players. I'd rather give him his players, and if he falls on that sword, then that's up to him. But I want to give him his players, because then there's no excuse, and we will all know then that it's him. But the problem is, you're right. If we don't invest in him and we buy him his players, then we're just piling players on top of players. Trying to get home early for the games. I'll be on later. See you later, Benja. If we don't sack Amorim now, then we're finishing 15th again. Completely unacceptable. Yeah, but niche fan. But what's he supposed to do, mate? He hasn't got his players. I'm going to keep on banging this drum, right? Some of these players have sacked multiple managers. What's he supposed to do? What is he supposed to do? Because he plays a completely different system. He plays a niche system. And I completely get what you're saying. Even if he finishes 15th, I want to give him time. But that will be a good segue, because niche fan, he's not going to get that time. We need him to reach out to Turkey AI to get him to sell Newcastle to Bias instead. They're going nowhere with this barcode. GTS, mate, first time buying them, always used Socony. Yeah, much do. I've reviewed lots and lots of trainers. So yeah, I'm fully versed on my trainer knowledge. Why is buying players not giving them time? I agree with you. Opio, Hardy Boys for me. I love the Hardy Boys. I think you mean Andre the Giant. Andre, not Andre. Andre is a wrestler. Andre the Giant. Niche fan, go and check Andre the Giant. French guy, absolutely huge back in the 80s. I was enjoying, it was great to join you. See you on the next live. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, Ajoa. I met Hulk Hogan when I was in Florida 2000. Got a picture with him. Nice. Go fund me to sack Amorim. Nikaritsu, Amorim's not the problem. Sacking him won't fix it. I agree. Had to come back to make one thing clear. Not a United fan, just love watching the struggle. Typhoon and earthquake. Exactly that. Benja, I like watching Arsenal more during the struggle than now. Benja, exactly. Benja, peace. Emery would not take the job. Peace, Benja. So, a couple of comments on there about where we're going to finish. Niche fan is very, very passionate about this. Absolutely. I take a gamble and Sean Dyche will be the next manager. Nikaruchu, don't even go there, my friend. So, niche fan has been on here quite a while, and I'll use that as an example. Niche fan, again, respect the opinion, of course. So today, again, what's coming out from a very, very credible source is that Sir Jim thinks that we are going to have Champions League. So Jacobs Ben at X, obviously it's first name is Ben. Being on the United stand, he's been very, very good. I do like Ben. I think he's really, really good. Scott, I haven't fed them yet. I'm going to feed them in a bit. They will get their gruel and they'll get their little stones that they love to eat as well. And if they're lucky, I might give them some scraps of bones. So yeah, but thank you for that. Scott, I really appreciate your concern about them. I have told them that somebody cares about them. I did have to specify that it wasn't me, just so they know, because I like to keep owner and work separate, so they have to know that I couldn't care less about them. So they do have their scraps. Glasner would be a manager for United. D4NC, yeah. So segue in. Niche fan, this is just for you, my friend. So, as we said, according to Ben, who I think is fantastic, he's been really, really good on so many different things, and I respect the guy a lot. So, apparently, Sir Jim expects with this team a top 4. And the quote coming out from Sir Jim is basically, if we don't get top 4, he expects European football top 4. Can you speak ado with ooh? I don't know what you're talking about. Microloan. Can you speak? I don't know. Ben's been spot on this summer. Yeah, Scott. I really like Ben. I think he's brilliant. I really, really like Jacobs. I think he's brilliant. I think he's articulate. I think he explains things really, really simply. I think he's brilliant. I'd love to get him on here sometime. The comment says, happened to come across this by random scroll. My condolences to United fans, but it's hilarious to watch them. The Cornet, welcome, my friend. Welcome here. As I'll always say, rival fans are welcome here as well. I think some of your opinions have been brilliant on here, and I'll welcome you here. As I'll say, as long as we are respectful to each other, I'll respect your views. I try to read out your things as well. So yeah, not a United fan, but I think Amorim isn't good enough for you. I think United will finish 7th or 8th, maybe the FA Cup. I wish I had your mate. I genuinely wish I had your confidence. I don't think we're anywhere near 7th, 8th. I think we are 10th, 12th. FA Cup, Grimsby, we can't even beat Grimsby. So FA Cup for me is absolutely not. And I'll tell you what I think may happen. I hope I'm wrong, but I've got to be honest about this. I still think we get 5th and win an FA Cup. Scott, again, I admire your confidence, my friend. Unai Emery, why not Xavi or Zidane? Because they're not Premier League proven. I think, and that's not my opinion on it. I think that is the opinion of the board. They want to go Premier League proven, and I think Emery would be the guy for them. Nikaritsu, I keep seeing stories that United have not given up on Belieber. What we are trying again in the January window. Do you think he's an answer to our midfield problem? I think that he would be a solution, but he's then got to play Bruno in that number 10 position. He either has to play Bruno as 10 or sell him in the next window. I think Belieber would be a slight answer. And I think he would give us the platform that we need. But if he's still not going to play Bruno in the right position, we're still going to fail. This is more than about players. Whilst I've said this, and I'll keep banging on this drum, these players are not good enough. Not all of them, but we need more. We need his players, but we also need to play him in the correct positions. D4NC says, you're better than my Villa team at the moment. I mean, Villa, I think what's happened to Villa, particularly with the FFP stuff, I think is disgusting. You went into the Champions League. You should have been allowed to build on that. And I think it's disgusting. United would do great against non-Big Six teams in the Prem. Get top 10 if we get Belieber or a good CM. Bluey Games, if we get a centre midfielder, I think we'll be okay. But what I'm going to talk about now, I don't even know if Amorim can get that side. I'll argue it with anyone. Now we are in a top 6 club. I agree. Football Tube, how reliable are these links related to the show? So Jacobs, Ben obviously, who's been in the United stand, that's his ex, and he's very, very good. Very, very good. So he's come out with these quotes, and I'll let you know. Don't worry, Ruben won't last a few weeks. System won Leverkusen in the Bundesliga. Sorry, I'm Italian. I know only some English words, but I learned English in school. You're welcome here. Macalone 300, Donkey, Noob, USA, English. Yeah. Yeah. So, according to Ben, Sir Jim has basically said, and I will read this, I'll quote it. I'm from India. You like cricket? Not really. I'm not a big cricket fan. I just got to be completely honest. I don't mind the Ashes, but other than that, I'm not too fussed on cricket at all. So basically, let's get into it. So Sir Jim, Harry. So Sir Jim's demand is basically Champions League. As we all know, Ben is pretty good on all this stuff. He's been on the United Stand, TalkSport correspondent. I agree with you that people are too quick to blame Šeško. Bluey games, I think it's ridiculous. I think would you be happy with Conference League? I'd be happy with a team playing well, finishing 10th. So if we get Conference League football, so be it. I just want us to improve every season. I'd be happy with Amorim surviving the season and playing well. I really would. Champions League, exactly. So Sir Jim basically, and I'm going to quote him as best as I can. This is according to Ben Jacobs. Is that so? Sir Jim demanding Champions League football. He's of the opinion that we can get Champions League football. Get in your opinions on this as well. He thinks Amorim can get Champions League with this team, bearing in mind they finished 15th last season. So, and he's also said that if we don't get Champions League football or we're nowhere near it comes next year, then he basically will have a review of the manager and see where we are on that one. So I think for those of you who are Amorim out, I am not, and I agree with a lot of the comments on here today. Šeško looks awkward in the system, does not equate to a bad player. People need to allow it. Football Tube, I agree. I think it's ridiculous to write off Šeško. Yeah, I mean it's absolutely crazy. This media in this country love to write off our players. They absolutely love to try and destroy their mentality, destroy their confidence, because then they've got something to write. I agree with you, Udin. Abudin, these players need a captain like Roy Keane. And that's exactly it. So get in your comments about this. Is Sir Jim right? Is he wrong? So for me, when we're talking about this now, I think the writing is already on the wall for Amorim. If I wonder right now if Amorim is dejected to the point where I think the Grimsby game is the one that's absolutely hammered him. I think the Grimsby game is absolutely. I think he's surprised. When we're talking about players who are infected and get PTSD, I think Amorim is there as well. He's an emotional guy. Is Amorim, and I have to own up to this. Is Amorim mentally strong enough himself? I don't know. He's offered to walk twice. He's again after the Grimsby game. He keeps talking about walking. And I think if anything, I think that he's very, very close to it. I'm afraid United, the Cornet says, I'm afraid United can't afford to get Amorim out anymore. Best they can do is convince him to play Bruno at 10. I agree with you. I think what people don't seem to realise is that we don't have a lot of cash. Always claim that we don't, right? I still say the amount of savings that we'll make with the players leaving, I want to know where that money is gone. I can tell you where it's gone. It's gone on debt, interest, and on the Glazers and paying back previous mistakes. Sacking him and trying to rebuild again is just not a viable option. If Mount and Dalot start in the best positions as well as Bruno, which he obviously will, then we'll have 35% chance of beating Chelsea. Bluey Games, I don't know where you've come up with that percentage wise. I don't disagree or agree. I don't know where you've got that percentage. Maybe you stuck it into chat, AI or something. Forget Mason Mount. Forget Mason Mount, mate. As much as I don't think Mason Mount has been this amazing player that everyone has said he is, he lacks intensity because of the injury. Do I think that Mason Mount is a good player? Yes. But the injury that he's got a long-standing injury that is career-ending. Forget Mason Mount. Mason Mount is nothing more than a squad player. He's going to be injured for the rest of his career. He's apparently was out for 3 weeks. He's going to be out now for an insurmountable amount of time. Forget Mason Mount. So we need, but I do agree that Bruno needs to start in that position. Nicarucci says, Sir Jim is trying to build a shed from a wardrobe he bought from IKEA. Not going to happen until he buys the right product. Nicarucci, mate, I'm in agreement with you. I think Sir Jim, and for Sir Jim being a lifelong fan who apparently watches this club, watches this team, if he's a proper fan, he would know. He would either right. If Sir Jim was a proper fan, like people on here who are Amorim in or Amorim out, he would at least have an opinion on it, and he would either go, "I'm going to pull the trigger now, and I'm going to get in another coach," or he'd go, "I'm going to give this guy time." How can he expect Champions League football? Maybe he can't say anything else, but to put that out there, the pressure is on the manager already. And what is he supposed to do with these players that don't fit his system? I genuinely believe, and I'll come on to that as well, very, very soon before I sort of end the show as to what I think will ultimately happen. And I hope I'm wrong, but I've seen this before. We've seen this before. And we know. So Jim for me is utterly clueless. He's trying to run this like an Ineos chemical business, which he can't do. Bluey Game says Palmer just recovered. He won't run through our defence like Haaland. I doubt we'll lose by more than 2 or 3 goals. House Skipper says Sir Jim out. Keep Amorim. Give him midfielders and wing backs. Give him at least 4 years to clear out the toxic and get a system that works. Harry, I agree with you, mate. This guy needs time. But he's just not going to get it. He's just not going to get time. No one gets time. Fergie got 6 years. Fergie got 5-6 years. We're not in the same era. I'm hoping that this is Sir Jim's way of just basically trying to placate the fans. This is Sir Jim's way of just saying, I don't rate Sir Jim. I can't stand the guy. I think he's a charlatan. I think Ineos are enemies of this club, keeping the Glazers in. And the interesting thing, throughout this whole period, throughout these last 4 games, who do we not mention? Who are fans not mentioning? They are not mentioning the Glazers. That is where the accountability lies, is with the Glazers. Football, every single player looks awkward in the system. Who's actually playing in their position? Even players in familiar positions, to do what they do, they are taking familiar instructions. The thing is, though, we can't pander to these players. We're paying them lots and lots of money. But I do agree, these are not players for this system, and this is why I keep banging my head against a brick wall. Not with the comments on here, but with the ownership. Is that these are not players for his system. Buy him players for his system. If you weren't going to give him a full new team, then why hire the guy? I don't get it. It's like hiring an accountant to be a plumber and then moaning because he can't plumb. It's you hiring this guy as a specialist and you don't give him his players, then don't hire him. Go and hire Southgate. Don't hire him. Scott says, I can see Amorim walking away because he got fed false hope. I agree. You can't write off players 4 games into the season. Ratcliffe is a massive problem and makes things more difficult. I agree with you. Steve Seymour. Worry is another season like last season, and lads like Mainu Yoro will decide. Do you know what, Steve? Again, I think that's a really, really good comment. Because we're only focusing on the here and now. I agree with you. The long-term prospects of these players is absolutely scary. The Connectors, to be honest, at this point, they would profit of trying to sell something, anything wild, like playing Maguire on the wing, just change everything. I agree with you. The Connect. I can fight Sir Jim in a boxing match. If I beat him, he sells the club. And so do the Glazers. If he wins, he sacks Amorim and brings in Southgate. But we guess it's not AI, just by analysing our percentage against City, it was around 22%, which they weren't wrong about the context in the first. Okay, no, cool. I mean, I'm not questioning your opinion. It's just interesting to know how you've come to that conclusion. Pete says Sir Jim is a joke. I agree with you. Name 195. If Man U get Unai, that literally be the funniest shit ever. He's terrible for a squad like United Divas. I agree that he's a diva. Unai can't even beat us with a pretty decent squad. Why would we ever randomly sign him? Champions League in 2036. Unai hasn't scored a goal yet with his squad. Summer Island Prince. Anyone dissing Emery is insane. You are delusional asking for 4 years. Summer Island Prince, we're not asking for 4 years, my friend. I think that's what he needs. I think he needs at least 2 years. I think he needs at least 2 years. And I'm starting it from this season. I don't count last season. He didn't get his. Last season is not on him. I'm talking about at least 2 seasons from now. And bearing in mind, if we're going to offer him a new contract, we need to offer it to him this summer. I just don't know. Have you seen a truly change in the play? I don't rate Jim because he can't. Can you love? I agree with you. Agree with you completely. Please stop lying to yourself. Emery is demonstrably better and improve. Players that are bigger than the club. That's the problem. Do you know what, guys? You're putting in some banging stuff tonight. That's why he wanted to buy them first and has a season ticket there. I agree. United should be buying around young 20-year-olds across the league and dogging it out 3 years to create a foundation. Delo, Maguire, Lissandro, and Bruno are the only ones left. It's not all on the players. Luke Shaw, you're forgetting Luke Shaw. Some of these players now are onto a second or third manager. If Amorim goes, But I do agree, it's not all on the players. It's the decision making is on Amorim, but ultimately the players, I think, should take the majority of the. No, in fact, I think the owners should take the majority of the blame. No, it's nothing like that. Ruben chose to buy 3 attackers and no midfielders. Kevin McGee, I disagree with you. After the update from Fabrizio today, clearly Ugarte was trying to be sold. In the window, we tried to get midfielders. I do not believe that Amorim didn't want centre midfielders. I think that's what he wanted. He just didn't get them. I think this football side thought if they brought goals into this team, and this is why I think they're absolutely ridiculous. I think they thought that if they bring goals into this team and they will translate those goals to win games. They know nothing about this club. And I genuinely think that Amorim had a different opinion. And if I think if you let Amorim bring in the players that he wanted to bring in, I think it would have cost us a fraction of the price and we would have got more players. Badger says, let me make clear, get rid of the board and players. The players will take the piss again on new managers. Badger, I agree. Exactly, Kevin, he wants to succeed, didn't invest in midfielders. He had 410s, he was happy and bought 2 more. Insane. Kevin, he didn't. He did. I don't know why people are blaming him. There's a football structure in place. You can't blame Amorim for these signings. You can. It's a football structure. Scott, I agree. Come on, man. 2 years in today's football, where is that done? Yeah, but exactly, someone you're making my point. We need to do something different for these players. The buyer says Emery is out of form. Badger is right. I agree. I don't know Football FC. Amorim doesn't play his system that he employed at Sporting. It's a major reason why it exposes the players and tactics on the pitch. Ruben chose 2 10s over a midfielder when he already had the abundance of 10s. A CM should have been brought instead of Cunha. Kevin, Amorim didn't sign these players. The board and the football inside, Amorim was part of that. But this is the first season where it's not on the manager. There's a football strategy team in place, and they all decided to do it together. At any point, they could have said no. Sir Jim said no to a midfielder signing. That is not on Amorim. That is not on the coach. This is not on him. The signings are not on him. He's part of it, but it is not on him. What information do you have to support Amorim's targets in the transfer market? Nobody knows that. Nobody knows that. We've only been fed what we've been fed. The only people that know the information on that are the clubs, and that's it. Glasner stood up for himself. What does that say about Amorim if you can't communicate that a midfielder is Summer Island? We disagree. He chooses his plays. He didn't, Kevin. He didn't. He should have signed Frimpong. The bias, we couldn't. He didn't want to come. Lamens is a must start. I agree. Amorim doesn't decide the signings. Amorim's job is to work with, and they give him, and that wasn't a lot. Cornet, exactly, my friend. Isla Vivos. What's your favourite team? United. But also, what's the Cornet? But also, with what's there, he's not doing the best job either. I sort of agree with you. I sort of do agree with you on that one. Amorim does, even though I'm at Amorim in, he doesn't get away with it scot-free because he can't. Amorim can't get away with it scot-free. He simply cannot. He simply cannot get away with it scot-free. I changed my picture. I did see that. Kevin McGee. He didn't say no. He didn't say no to a CM. They tried for Belieber. 2 weeks left in the window. Why did he wait for so long? It is not Kevin. It's not Amorim. Amorim didn't wait. Kevin, I respect the opinion, and I'm not calling you out, but I have to comment on the opinion. So, is that, do you think Amorim waited for a centre midfielder? I can't believe in 2025, with the knowledge that's out there, that Ineos have put in a football department, which has been plastered everywhere, that this season, Omar Barada, he's been very vocal about the players that they might sign. It's been put out there by David Ornstein that there's a footballing department out there. It's been put out there by Fabrizio. If people still think that Amorim, because it suits their agenda, that Amorim picks these players in terms of he goes out there and goes, I want these players, and they sign the players, mate, you're very, very mistaken. Amorim is a coach. He gets given these players. He has input, and the football inside go and buy these players based on the data for Amorim, and Amorim has to coach these players. I don't know football. Then why did you say he got players for a lot less if you have no information? The reason why I say it's just an opinion, right? It is my opinion, right? And my opinion is I don't believe Amorim would have gone and got those sorts of players. I believe he would have gone and got the players that he needed to get. And I think that Amorim would have used, maybe gone to Portugal, maybe gone to Italy. In my opinion, I think Amorim would have done things differently. And I think if Amorim had been allowed to sign players, I think he would have signed different players in the positions that he needed. And I think they would have cost a fraction of the price because he wouldn't have got them from the Premier League. Oh my Lord, people are saying he didn't pick the players. Kevin, he didn't pick the players. He picks the players for the team, but he didn't pick the signings. It's a footballing strategy. Maybe he had a hand in it, but he didn't pick the signings. It's on Omar Barada. Wilcox is the footballing guy. It's on those. He had an input, then he shouldn't have taken the job. Yeah, but Summer, that's a ridiculous thing to say, because if somebody offered you that job, you would take it. But if he was, I guarantee he was promised all sorts of stuff, and they have let him down. Josh Chen says hi. He didn't want the job till the summer. Exactly. The bias says one window wasn't going to fix the problems. Exactly. Best content I've seen. Honest, level-headed, realistic, sensible. You have the patience to see the team get better and grow while giving Amorim a decent chance and time to get it right. Thank you, D4NC. Appreciate that, my friend. And I think the reason why why we do that on here is because of this community, comments like yours, and this community. I don't shy away from comments. I again, we disagree, but I think it's fair. It's fair to see both sides. We're not getting Europe. I agree. I remember Andrew. So tell me, whose fault is it for playing Bruno as Cam? That's inept. Whose fault is it for playing Bruno as a 10? Amorim's fault. It's also the board's fault for not selling him. So as much as I blame Amorim for playing, and I'm not going to hide from that, as much as Amorim needs to take the blame, I blame the board for not selling him. He was always going to pose a problem. When you give a manager 2 number 10s and you've got a number 10, and you can argue one of the best number 10s in European football, what's he supposed to do? He's been told he has to keep the player instead of selling the player. He's there. So it's a combination of the football inside and Amorim for picking him. I don't blame him for doing it, but what's he supposed to do? We have more free time than any other team, but the team isn't focusing on playing. They'll be burnt out in the Champions League. Exactly. I think he's in a state of dilemma. Seriously, they should have gotten Conte or Poch. I'll never forgive Neville for that. Don't understand why you're willing to make a stand for this manager who hasn't improved the player technically or mentally in 10 months. I don't know football. The mental side. Now, I'm going to disagree with you completely, because this manager didn't. When he got here, this club was toxic, rotten through. Do you understand how long it takes to change that? Do you understand how long it takes for that to change? And it takes a long time. These chats, I just accept, we'll never get back to the glory days. You're disillusional, mate, if you think Amorim isn't picking the players. Kevin, that's not what I said, is it, mate? That's not what I said. He's picking the players, but he didn't pick the signings. And Kevin, back at you if you think it is Amorim without picking the players. Do you have a predicted lineup against Chelsea? Okay, so I think he's going to go with the same team. So I think he'll go Luke Shaw. I think he'll go Yoro, De Ligt. I think he'll go Dorgu. I think he'll put Ahmad back as a number 10. No, in fact, no, I don't. I think he'll play Ahmad as a 10, and Bumo as a 10, Bruno as an 8, Casemiro back in there, Mazraoui. I think he's going to play the same team, and if he plays the same team and he gets sacked, if he gets battered, then he may walk. You're guessing and presenting it as an opinion to derive a narrative from Amorim. No, I'm not. It's an opinion. It is. I'm right. What is opinion? Right. An opinion is an opinion. It's a guess. Right. That's the definition of an opinion. I'm giving you an opinion based on what I think. Right. I'm telling you what I think, and if you can't handle that opinion, it's not there to support the coach, because it's not based on fact. The narrative that I have is to support the manager, but I'm also not going to support the manager blindly. If he continues to pick this team, he's going to get sacked. Whether I want him to get sacked or not, whether I think he needs time, he's going to sack himself. So what I'm saying is he needs time, but if he's going to get sacked, he's going to get sacked. Do you really believe Amorim would shine Shesko? I don't think he would do. Other fan channels are deluded and have no patience to give Amorim time to build his team. Amorim should be able to get his own players because he knows. I agree with you. No, he wouldn't. Knowing the BS they've pulled for the last 4 years. Guys, board managers, some players, coaches pick who gets played. One of them, Amorim, can't influence standard football practice. Exactly. Which players? Only 5 remain that have been here for more than 2 managers. Amorim has no faith in the players or trust the play system. Senior players need to go. Amorim begged. I don't think he begged him, but that's opinion. The problem is United fans, too much pressure on the players and the manager. On the bottom half of the table, I agree. The biased fans get riled up by the media. Not really that long. If you've got a talented manager, has no interpersonal skills, he manifested the worst team in United history. you can't. You can't, mate. How many charismatic managers? I mean, we had Ollie. Ollie failed. If you're telling me that Ollie is not a, talented managers in terms of a coach, if you can't get your message across, you can't get your message across to some of these players. It's got nothing to do with talent. It's got nothing to do with talent. You cannot force players to play the way you want to play. It's Danny, actually funny. I'm a Bayern fan, and both Bayern and United will play Chelsea next. Best of luck to us both. Bruno as number 10 would be way better. Luke Shaw should not be starting big games. I agree. Toxic, what's up, bro? Good to see you again. Haven't been here since game week 2. Toxic legend, I hope you're doing really, really well. So why back a man who's looking to get himself sacked from the job, looking for someone who's not looking to be sacked? He's not looking to be sacked. He's standing by his principles. And that's completely different. He's going to get sacked. I don't think he's looking to get sacked, but he will get sacked. He's a man of principle, and I don't blame him for that. I don't blame him for that at all. Aaron needs to organise some extra sessions with Ahmad, Dorgu and Shesko. Seems like they can't even link up. Rafi says hi. He said it himself, mate. Never. I've seen more of a negative manager. I disagree. If you can't move some players, what are you doing? If you can't move some players, who's improved? Summer. No manager in world football is going to improve these players. There is nobody. This is a specialist system. So where I agree with you is change the manager, get someone in who's going to play 4-4-2, and I guarantee you we'll be here again. You guys will be asking for the manager up, not all of you, and then another coach will come in. This will happen again, and we'll be here again. This is the same cycle over and over and over again. But Summer, I appreciate and I respect the comment, and I can't blame you guys. I can't blame you guys for wanting these people out. The comment says, "What's your opinion on Mr. Goldbridge?" It's not fair for me to have an opinion. I'm not going to hide from the question. What I'm going to say about him is that, look, right, there is no coincidence. There is no coincidence that 2-point-something million people have joined his channel, right? Whether I respect his opinion or not, at the end of the day, I respect opinion, right? The guy has been doing it for 10 years, right? Whether I don't agree, I don't really watch the channel. I've seen some of this stuff. I don't agree with some of the people that he has on there, but that's his channel. You have to respect the guy. I respect the hustle. The guy's been doing it for 10 years. You've got to respect the channel. We are just a mere blip compared to the channel. The channel, does more than football, I think, for a lot of people. You've got to admire somebody that has taken a channel from nothing at all and made it probably the biggest football channel. The guy's got rights to the Bundesliga. I mean, that is not luck. That's hard work. Whether on, I think there's been times where he's probably wanted to quit, and I think he did quit once. My only opinion is, I can't have a personal opinion on him, but my opinion is he seems like a hard-working, passionate guy. And whether you agree with his opinions or not, but that's the beauty of having an opinion. All players should be trained 5 days a week. The bias, I only see the man having crying thumbnails. So guys, I am going to go. It's been a fantastic show again. So I am going to go. I really hope so. Thank you very much. The Cornet is very, very, very kind of you to say. I watched garbage for the meltdowns, but guys, thank you so much for being here. It's always a pleasure. I love these shows. You guys getting into the chat now. You make the channel. You make the chat. You make the channel. You make this channel what it is. I hope hopefully we'll get bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'll never forget that you guys are part of this. You make what it is. So guys, thank you for watching. I'd like to do a shoot. Maybe I will at some point. But guys, whether we disagree or agree, I respect the opinions. I respect, one thing that I would say this channel is built on respect. It's really, really important that we respect each other's opinions, which I think we do. So, guys, thank you so much. Hopefully I'll be back tonight. Fingers crossed. If not, I'll do a Champions League watch along at some point for one of the games. Have a good rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Take care of yourselves and your families. And I'll see you on the next one, guys. Take care, and I'll see you very, very soon.